Hot Wheels Velocity X, released as Hot Wheels Velocity X Maximum Justice for the PlayStation 2, is a 2002 vehicular combat racing game developed by Beyond Games and would be published by THQ, based on Mattel's Hot Wheels line of scale model cars. Development on the game began, but before it happened, in early 2001, THQ, who is defunct today, obtained an extended agreement with Mattel to produce video games based on the Hot Wheels property toy line. After Beyond Games released Motor Mayhem in late 2001, THQ approached the studio to begin development for an untitled vehicular combat game using the Hot Wheels license. The team had created a brand new engine from the ground up for Motor Mayhem. This game engine is called Brainstorm, and decided to use the same framework for the Hot Wheels project. The game was announced for Windows, Game Boy Advance, and PlayStation 2 and GameCube the following year in January 2002 at THQ's Editor's Day, with a launch window of Christmas 2002. The game was tentatively titled Hot Wheels 2002 and was described as a mission-based racing adventure set in the dark futuristic world. The project was originally developed for the PlayStation 2 hardware and took the team 2 weeks to port the game to the GameCube. The GameCube's increased processing power also allowed for further enhancements, including an expanded color gamut and improved draw distance and graphics rendered at a locked 60 FPS. The tone of the story was heavily inspired by Speed Racer, focusing on a good versus bad guy dynamic, and the game's visuals were influenced by the Batman Beyond animated series. THQ on May 13th announced its lineup for E3 2002, including the untitled Hot Wheels 2002 project. 7 days later, on May 20th, on the official press release of THQ's press, revealed the game's full title will be called Hot Wheels Velocity X, and for the first time at E3 2002, the company showcased the GBA, PS2, and GameCube versions of the game across multiple booths. Accompanied by Mattel's life-size replica of the Hot Wheels twin-mill model car. On August 2nd, THQ demonstrated a pre-alpha build of the game at the IGN headquarters. At this demonstration, Beyond Games suggested a simultaneous October 2002 release for all three versions of the game. Beyond Games also confirmed that the GameCube version would be the only version to have a 4-player co-op, a four-player multiplayer mode. And just like that. According to Beyond Games Vice President Clark Stacy, the development team was given a much more creative freedom with the Hot Wheels license than Mattel had allowed in the past, resulting in the game's signature weapons designs and vehicle damage models. Now, like I told you guys about during my video about Hot Wheels Bash Arena, that I did mention that given that there are damage restrictions on licensed vehicles, even if you don't count Mattel's little diecast toys like the Hot Wheels diecast toys, all of them are just going to be just Hot Wheels originals being bashed around. So if they're actually Hot Wheels originals, Mattel is actually allowing some vehicular combat in their little diecast Hot Wheels cars. So so that with just the Hot Wheels originals being getting some complex damage models, Mattel had gave the developers freedom to do whatever they want, and this creativity is what I love. This and this is actually a pretty good move Mattel actually did. So so that so So, Velocity X launched exclusively in North America and PAL regions. The PC version of the game was released on October 16th. To promote the game, Mattel distributed a reskin of the Hot Wheels original car, 40-something model car, exclusively to the Toys R Us retailer, featuring decals of the THQ and Velocity X logos. Bundled with the CD-ROM, on October 25th, the development team announced that the home console versions of Velocity X had gone gold with a project launch date of November 12th. THQ released the GBA version of the game, which will be talked about later on in the video, on October 31st in the US and on December 6th for PAL regions. The PS2 version was released alongside with the PAL regions on October 12th and on November 29th. The GameCube version was released on November 14th and December 13th, and in 2002, Mattel distributed a Velocity X PC demo disc with a limited edition run of Hot Wheels Racing Ferrari F 2002 1/24 scale models. In 2005, THQ released a 2-in-1 bundle, including the GBA versions of Velocity X and the Hot Wheels 2003 game that might be covered in a future video. Velocity X's gameplay is focused on vehicular combat, in which the player completes in races and do some demolition derbies across 5 modes. In the main adventure mode, the player has to beat all 14 missions while complete tasks in each one. These tasks vary from destroying a few vehicles, collecting items, and racing and battling a boss, and more. Adventure mode is just a storyline plot. So let's just get to the story and see where it goes for. We play as Max Justice, a 17-year-old racing prodigy for Team Hot Wheels. Is street racing when he gets a distress signal from his home in Monument City and returns to find the building ransacked. He was racing a Maelstrom guy. Unfortunately, it been cut short due to the distress signal. Shortly afterward, an alarm at the Hot Wheels engineering plant has been sounded. Gearhead, a robotic assistant designed by Dr. Peter Justice, Maxwell's father, advises Max not to investigate, but eventually gives in. Max heads for the engineering plant, but a time explosive device destroys the building before he arrives. Not long after, another explosive device is planted at the Hot Wheels tire factory. Max is able to retrieve the bomb before it detonates and drops it off to an abandoned building, which has already been scheduled for demolition anyway. Maxwell learns that there is a gang that was responsible for the engineering plant and tire factory explosions, using the commotion of a diversion to steal Dr. Peter Justice's experimental prototype vehicle, the Hot Wheels Prototype 12 vehicle. Yes, the car we see in Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged we see for today. And a series of discs containing research on the Velocity X project. One gang member, Conrad Nitro Brand Kaufman, claims to have the disc and challenges Max to a race. After the race, Nitro reveals that he lied and he never had the disc. He was told to deliver them to someone in Turbine Sands. Peter Justice tells Maxwell that the Velocity X disc contains a formula for fuel allowing the Hot Wheels cars to travel twice their normal speed, and that his stolen Hot Wheels Prototype 12 runs on uranium and can turn invisible for short periods of time. And what? After intercepting the gang's uranium shipment and stopping a hijacked train in Turbine Sands, Max encounters Blackroads Belcher. Or Backroads Belcher, I think. I'm sorry. Belcher wagers the uranium in exchange for a face-off with Max afterwards. Belcher tells Max that his girlfriend, Nicole Sparky Hendricks, was spotted investigating gang territory in Crankshift Bay. Sparky contacts Max, telling him about the map fragments she found with the names of Dr. Justice and Otto Von Diesel written on them. After traveling to the bay, collecting the map fragments and rescuing Sparky from gang members, the map is taken to Gearhead for analysis. Dr. Justice then asks Maxwell to return to Crankshift Bay to retrieve the data cube, containing backup files for the Velocity X project. But their communications are intercepted by Megacog, the gang's robotic assistant. Max successfully secures the cube, but is accosted by Fastlane, who drives the Split Image 2. Yes, Fastlane, a gang member who challenges Max to a race for the uranium in exchange for info about Otto. Max learns that Otto Von Diesel was a member of his father's engineering team, but was fired for bypassing safety protocols. Gearhead completes his analysis of the map, which depicts a meeting taking place in Burnout Glacier volcano. Otto plans to collect volcanologic gas, an ingredient for the Velocity X fuel, by triggering an eruption with a rocket. Max destroys the rocket before it launches and retrieves Dr. Justice's own gas canister from within the volcano. Simon Slick, another gang member, wagers the gas canister on a race with Max. Gearhead completes his analysis of the backup data cube. The goal of the Velocity X project was vehicle-assisted time travel, but Dr. Justice ceased development due to risk associating with altering history. Otto plans to travel back in time to prevent the production of the Hot Wheels cars and erase the Justice family from existence as revenge for his firing. Pathetic. That's it. Max is approached by Rupert, Otto's right-hand man, who challenges Max to a race for the temporal transmission, the final Velocity X project component, and the Velocity X disc. However, during the race with Rupert, Otto's gang steals the transmission with the assistance of Gearhead. And Max tracks the gang down to Monument City's underworld, where he defeats Nitro, Belcher, Fastlane, Slick, and Rupert before battling Otto. Despite his defeat, Otto escapes police custody and remains at large, while Max returns to street racing. Now you can see that the plot of the story really would be tie you up in the knot. But alas, I thought the story is actually pretty great, though. Given the fact that one guy just wants to vow for revenge for his firing. Honestly, he kind of deserved it because he knew better. He knows better. He he knew better not to do something stupid like he did. That wasn't very smart. Also characters. Also, the characters has a good abundance of cars they drive. I mean, I mean, get me wrong. There's a lot there. I mean, the gang drives various Hot Wheels originals. I mean, Maxwell Justice drives MST Suzuka. Their other games drive a Rock and a Rod and Evil Twin. I could see well and why everybody actually loves some of the cars that they featured. Actually, they all look pretty stunning and cool. Now the cars seen in Hot Wheels Velocity X, either it's a very hit or miss, or not. There are a total of, I don't know, I haven't counted how many cars there are. There are also some non-playable cars as well. Oh, but I do know that there are weapon gadgets, ripper wheels, armor repair, oil drum, laser cannon, sonic boom, atom blaster, freedom bomb, energy shield, jet boosters, super zapper, magnet mime, doom disc, and quadrant annihilator. I actually like most of the weapons. Super zapper, oil drum, armor repair, and ripper wheels actually works pretty well. They're actually great as they are. And also the physics in Velocity X feels very responsive actually. When you press the drift button to drift, it actually you're actually power sliding. However, when you're boosting, you are actually really doing a good power drift slide, a nitro drift slide. Pretty unique. Now, much like Bash Arena, Hot Wheels Velocity X features old and new models. So let's bring up the car selection. So each car contains, yes, just like Hot Wheels Bash Arena, it features the old and recent and newer models, all of which were either pulled from previous games, Hot Wheels Bash Arena and Hot Wheels Advance, and Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. There are also exclusive cars to the GBA. Here are the list of the cars that were picked to join the game. MST Suzuka, so fast, super tuned, overboarded, 454. Attitude, Twin Mill 2, Muscle Tone, Hammered Coupe, Jaded, Hypermite, Power Pistons, Evil Twin, Hyperliner, Maelstrom, Split Nimitz 2, Greased Lightning, Vulture, Arachnorod, Solaire CX4, Hot Wheels Prototype 12, Showstopper / Seared Tuner, Surf Crate, Crazy Eights, Flashfire, Diora 2, Rigor Motor, Shadow Jet, Jet Threat 3.0, Mega Duty, Way Too Fast, Lakester, Surfin' School Bus, Power Rocket. With an additional exclusive GBA cars, Hooligan, MX-48 Turbo, Phaeton, Fantasque, Purple Passion, Roll Cage, The Screamin' Hauler, Shredster, The Demon, Vulture Roadster, Exercise, and XT3. There is additional of unplayable and beta vehicles that were meant to be in the game. Actually, these included some of the beta vehicles: Fandango, Jester, Sweet 16-2, Slingshot, and there's also some prop cars that you might see from one of them were from Hot Wheels Bash Arena, which is Cabin Fever, Semi-Fast, and Letter Getter, and there's Speed Blaster. Yeah, Speed Blaster is in there as well. So this is actually pretty big, though. There's also some other probable vehicles. Some of them are licensed cars, actually, and there are some just basic generic cars in general. I'm sure everyone knows where it's going. Actually, while I could see that this is the biggest car roster in Earth for a Hot Wheels game, it's pretty damn fun too. The game modes are pretty much by the numbers, though. Oh, the game modes are pretty fine, actually. I like the idea of most of these. The game has a drag race mode where you race from point A to point B. No circuit racing? Wow. Pretty wow. A battle mode. Basically, this is basically your Bash Arena mode, like what you see in Hot Wheels Bash Arena, where you had to use weapons to battle your opponents, or what else? You could actually ram. Or for Hot Wheels Bash Arena experienced players, you could just ram other opponents, just like that in real physical vehicular combat. No problem. However, I require you to use stronger vehicles, like Hyperliner and the Surfing School Bus. Believe me, I used the Surfing School Bus before, and to my surprise, I instantly found that it's a big car that you could actually use to physically destroy your opponents and smashing into them, leading to much good takedowns. And finally, we have a Joyride mode. Joyride mode is your basic open world where you can explore and take in on the world. However, this would be an extremely controversial mode for some people. Yeah. The game introduced the True Feel open world mode. The mode became extremely controversial. As some people say, this is actually a great idea on paper, but others say that it's a worst idea ever. We had Hot Wheels Unleashed gave us Waypoint mode, so it's kind of basic open world. We could explore the environments. So what on earth is the problem? Even Crash Time Racing has open world as well. However, it's pretty much limited. Some people say that Joyride mode is completely pointless, so what? It's free roaming. But little to know that you can actually unlock more cars in Joyride by collecting all 10 gears or finding the hidden key in each map. These modes are all absent on the GBA version. Yeah, you might. And there's also a challenge mode. The challenge mode has a player to complete all 18 challenges. Each challenge comes with various tasks, such as achieving X stunt points, collecting X gears, or reaching the finish line before the clock hits 0. Along the way, new vehicles as well as new battle maps and race maps and weapons are going to be unlocked. In the GBA version, the challenges are battle mode, where the player destroys opponents, and tag, where the player rams opponents. And it's pretty much by the numbers. The GBA version of the story mode is simply races with mixed tasks given by the professor, such as destroying other vehicles and collecting items at the end of each. A boss is raced. So honestly, I actually like the game. Actually, it's practically one of the most greatest games beyond games I've ever made. However, additionally, this would be the last game to be developed by them. Actually, considering this is Beyond Games' first and last Hot Wheels game. The people at Beyond Games went under as they moved as Chris Johnson, the founder of Beyond Games, and many of the employees who were working at the company would go on to form Smart Bomb Interactive, which later been rebranded as WildWorks. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. The GBA version of Hot Wheels Velocity X is an odd one, and it's very controversial. The GBA version was not developed by Beyond Games, nor THQ. Instead, it was being handled instead by Sapphire, formerly known as Cygnus Multimedia Productions from 1993 to 1995. And the company went defunct in 2007. It was led by Hal Rushton, who previously led Sapphire and made Century Sweep LLC, the same company who made the trashy Need for Speed Most Wanted port on the Nintendo DS. Hot Wheels Velocity X GBA was pretty messy and pretty awkward. Why do I say that? Is that the game is being played as an isometric racer, so it's gonna be taking some time to practice the controls. Some people say that controlling the car feels pretty awkward and wacky, but it takes some practice to do the controls pretty well. I never played Velocity X's GBA port ever. So I don't know much about it, but I do know about the storyline. So you are not playing as Max Justice. Instead, you are playing as Gearhead. Instead. So directly, the GBA port is on par with the full version of the game. Yeah, the game is on par with. The game is supposed to be on par with the full version of Velocity X of the game. Not that bar was set very high for Casey in her case. And yes, this is where we get to see a little bit of a mixed match, but a little problem here and there. I do know that the GBA version is pretty fun though, but I wouldn't say it would be a fun game actually, but at least it shares the same similarity as the main console version. Given that there are weapons or satellites as power-ups where you have to battle your opponents, but in Casey's case, Velocity X on the GBA felt like an amateurish fan game, not a remake of a good game that it's named after. The Velocity X on all platforms, including PC, received mixed reviews. So honestly, this vehicular combat with the racing experience led to a mixed critic reception. Some people say that it's great and awesome, but some people say it feels pretty suckfish in most other cases. Emphasis almost. Metacritic really reflected the game with the worst rating of 54% in the of the Hot Wheels series. Some people on GameSpot and GameZone had really said negative things said some really pretty negative things. GameZone said, even after you succeeded in mastering the ridiculous controls, the game never really feels like a racing game should. GameSpy says, the generic nature of the challenges, graphics, and controls forced me to propose that gamers should try something else. GameSpot says, an unfortunately stuttery frame rate keeps Hot Wheels Velocity X maximum justice for reaching its full potential, but the game is still quite enjoyable. And they were talking about the PlayStation 2 version of the game. Why didn't they go for the GameCube version? That could have been much more. That could have been much more acceptable. The user score on Velocity X is generally favorable reviews, actually. Really. However, 4 people actually have mixed receptions, and one of them had a negative reception about it. One user said, Hot Wheels tend to put out a mix of good and bad games over the years. This is one of the good ones, he said. In fact, as of right now, in 2023, 2 years back, this is his favorite Hot Wheels licensed game. You might be surprised at the depth of the story. The cars in the game are of iconic models. Every mission is different to the offer. You have the choice to enter a free play mode that allows you to just wander the different maps and find keys to unlock more cars. Very classic, very good. Based on the critic reviews, I'm going to go ahead and say this game got better with age due to its nostalgic feel and its simple yet engaging style. If you're playing through Hot Wheels licensed games for whatever reason, do not skip this one. I personally have to agree with that user because I don't know why people are skipping Hot Wheels games for something that are good Hot Wheels games, because there's no good Hot Wheels game in this world. We don't live in a perfect world. And also, why skip licensed Hot Wheels games when you don't know if they're actually good or not? There is no good Hot Wheels game. The Hot Wheels games that we have are fine, no matter if they're bad or good. That all comes down to personal opinions. My favorite games in the Hot Wheels series, in my personal opinion, would have to be Hot Wheels Beat That, Velocity X, and the Unleashed games, and Turbo Racing, and Hot Wheels Advance / Hot Wheels Burning Rubber. Everyone has different opinions. Also, having Weaponized Vehicular Combat in that game feels pretty fun too. In fact, Velocity X carried the same trajectory as Hot Wheels Bash Arena. For one, it's real vehicular combat, meaning you have to ram that opponent with your Hot Wheels car in order for them to whittle down their health and sustain car damage. And considering the fact that the damage models feel pretty awesome. And it's pretty nice that Mattel actually gave the developers a freedom to do whatever they want. And this creativity is what we love. Too bad Mattel ain't allowing Milestone to have creativity in their midst, because given that the fact that they're trying to make some money off of their Hot Wheels toys, because these days companies now only now want their stuff represented in a certain way. So there's no surprise to see how Mattel is following the same trajectory as the car manufacturers. Oh wait, I think I know what's going on here. The reason why there are no power-ups in Hot Wheels Unleashed these days is because it's not only that Mattel actually doesn't want to go through another Hot Wheels Beat That backlash, but there's another thing. There are also licensed cars in Hot Wheels Unleashed. So we're stumbled upon a little problem. So honestly, in my personal opinion, having licensed cars in Hot Wheels Unleashed is great. It's pretty great on paper, but honestly, kind of took away some little experience. Don't get me wrong. I like don't get me wrong. I like licensed cars, far from it. But seeing them in a Hot Wheels game, kind of dips the game into some sort of a little bit of some trouble here and there. I mean, with licensed cars in it, there won't be no power ups and there won't be no power ups in the Hot Wheels Unleashed games because car companies wouldn't allow power ups nor weapons being attached to their cars. So yeah, I think in all honesty, should have had just some fantasy Hot Wheels originals, just Hot Wheels originals being in the Unleashed game. In Unleashed games, I mean, look how Hot Wheels beat that. They have just Hot Wheels fantasy original castings, and Mattel allowed and Technics Limited to have power ups being in the game. So honestly, this is the style of what the Hot Wheels Vehicular Combat has. Not just Velocity X, but also on Hot Wheels Beat That. The only style of vehicular combat in Hot Wheels Unleashed we have is smashing into your opponents at a high ramp speed or lateral dashing them. So, little to no surprise, you can actually do some lateral dashing in Hot Wheels Velocity X. Didn't nobody even try it, actually? If not, then I'm just gonna have to tell you. When you're on, I actually played the PC version of Hot Wheels Velocity X, and you are able to do a little bit of lateral dashing by using the A or D keys, and that means you are on physical contact with that specific opponent, like Lakester. If veterans of my channel watched my video game mashup video about Hot Wheels Hot Wheels Ultimate Racing, Track Attack, and Velocity X, you can skip to Velocity X's little battle mode that I just made with Aid. I played with the Arachno car, and I did some little lateral dash moves to whittle down the car's health and destroyed them. How do I do it? Well, it's with the A and D keys by sliding Arachno rod back left to right, and how I had to take out that specific opponent. Don't believe me? Go to my video to see if I'm lying. That's what. See, I always record game footage just to see and show proof that I wouldn't lie. Or instead, here, I'll give you a little look of what I'm talking about. Yeah, not much proof, but if you guys saw the blue part side sparks, this proves that the lateral dash is actually real in Velocity X. So who's the liar now, yeah. Now y'all now believed me. That's it. That's all. What I do know is that having the ability to sideswipe opponents in Velocity X and Unleashed 2 Turbocharge is pretty worth doing actual do some damage or knocking your opponents off the racetrack. Pretty intriguing. You can also do lateral dashing during drag races. That's right. Drag races. So that way your opponents will not be up on your grill. While I doubt it's a conscious decision to not use lateral dash to avoid slowing yourself down, it's a benefit regardless. But pros like myself actually knows how to try and get your opponents off your grill. I mean, I used lateral dashes a few times and I never had a little bit of a problem. I will use lateral dashes to try and get myself out of trouble. Likewise, at least I did try something new when I first time played Hot Wheels Velocity X. If I'm still playing Hot Wheels Velocity X, then look no further. I still play it even for today. Recently, I did a game footage of me playing Hot Wheels Velocity X with the Surfing School Bus as part of my video set calling it Hot Wheels Surfing School Bus 2001 First Edition's unboxing. Feel free to check it out. Maybe I'll provide a video link in the video description. But to those who do not know about what's happening on my secondary channel, I explore and make personal type of videos about me playing a few games or what else, making the type of videos that you guys still like to enjoy and love on my main channel. And also last year I did my first ever Hot Wheels diecast unboxing car showcase video, and that was obviously exercise actually. And recently I did not one but two but three videos about the Hot Wheels diecast car showcase. These included Highway Hauler 2, Radar Ranger, and Surfing School Bus. That's right. So whatever you guys saw in that video of me showcasing four of those diecast cars that were seen in the thumbnail, we're actually veterans from older Hot Wheels games and recent Hot Wheels games. Prior to that, I would show a little gameplay of that specific car that in that video, giving it special attention center stage. While it's been obtained the worst performed video on my main channel, where I showed it as a little compilation video, I'm saying that the video is fairly unappreciated at best. And a big giveaway that I really should start burning off some of my videos in the process. Off topic wise, let's get back to the main portion of the video about Velocity X. In conclusion, while Hot Wheels Velocity X appears to be a nice, good little racer game and a vehicular combat game, and it carried much of the same content from Hot Wheels Bash Arena over, it's still a nice little game being published by THQ, and things to know about the THQ era of Hot Wheels games is that THQ really knows how to hire certain developers to make certain games, like how they partnered with Microforte, Beyond Games, and Climax Studios. Do not worry, I'm making another retrospective Hot Wheels game video, more on approach. The next game is going to be taped. In the next video. Well, not in the next video. It's gonna be taped soon, and another time. The next Hot Wheels game I'm going to take a look at will be the most one might be the best one of the best Hot Wheels games ever before Hot Wheels beat that. Hot Wheels World Race. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna be definitely be covering Hot Wheels World Race in a future video. Now, in conclusion, while Hot Wheels Velocity X may not be the best game in some people's radar, it's still fine and regardless. At least Hot Wheels tried to capture the style of vehicular combat though. But this wouldn't be the first time Hot Wheels ventured into vehicular combat. The first Hot Wheels game that has vehicular combat was Turbo Racing. Hot Wheels Turbo Racing had power-ups where you have the ability to crush your opponents, actually. No, there's no weapons in that game, but it has some it has some power-ups which has some advantages and disadvantages. There's an advantage power-up for where you have to slow down your opponents. This being the hammer power-up, where your car gets turned into a heavy, invincible steamroller in some cases, where you are able to touch opponents or bash your opponents by having them wipe out considerably. The rubber car power-up carries the same trajectory as the steamroller power-up. Very pretty weird, but it's all a benefit regardless. Yes. So honestly, Turbo Racing was actually the first Hot Wheels game to encounter vehicular combat, where you are able to race your Hot Wheels cars, stunt your Hot Wheels cars, and crash them. Hey, there's something you don't see every day. Who knew? Well, Turbo Racing is my personal favorite Hot Wheels game on paper when I first time played it. At least there's some late 90s kids and 2000s kids who doesn't know about that game or probably played it before. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. When did you play Hot Wheels Velocity X when you were younger? Do you remember it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Thank you guys for watching, and subscribe to THQ Random Fan 2002 for more upcoming videos. See you guys again next time. Bye-bye.